I need to be making things just for myself and my own like peace of mind. And yeah, I think I'm also just constantly like coming up with projects. Like I'm have a hard time just like sitting doing nothing. So for me, it also just kind of like balances me out or like keeps me focused and brings a lot of joy. I just love doing it. Yeah.
What does it feel like when you have an idea for a project?
I get not like a rush, but I get like really excited about it and feel like the way my mind works is often like sort of collagey. So it's like I'm kind of pulling, you know, something that I read and then an image that I saw, and then all of a sudden like the idea is forming in my mind, and then it's like exciting and I kind of like think about, well, how can I do it? And then it's like a really like quick need to just like do it, because that rush of like inspiration will also quickly leave. So if I don't like do the project within like a week or two, I'll have already moved on to like some other exciting thing, and like that thing will never get touched again. Or like sometimes I'll loop back around, but yeah, it definitely has to be, it's not impulsive, but like I have to do it kind of quickly, and it's exciting.
How do you take advantage of it? Is it you just start?
Yeah, I just start. I just like, usually it's like, how can I make it happen? And it's like scavenging for things that I have around the apartment, or then it's like the excitement of going to Blick or something and getting the right paper and starting, yeah.
Would you say you're a materials focused person?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I think that's what like, it's so inspiring, and I love like process, like something reacting to something, and then the way that different materials will do like different things. So I like love knitting because it's a certain structure, but then I also love to make jewelry because I was telling you like the wax is so soft, and it's almost like clay. And then there's also this element of chance when you're adding wax, like it'll melt in a certain way and you're like reacting to it. And I love that it's always new in that way. It's never like, doesn't get boring, or there's always something happening that you can react to. And it kind of just like helps bring the project along. It's like maybe I had an initial idea of something, but then by the time the material has changed the idea, I'm actually more excited about what's happening in front of me. And yeah.
Sounds like being open to the possibilities as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's like the way the best things get made, are you have like some kind of intention, but then yeah, you're really open to things changing, because they always do. Yeah.
Do you feel like there's certain themes that you come back to?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely interested in storytelling, and definitely interested in how we create meaning, or like, yeah, like reason why we're here. So tied deeply into like different people's interpretations of spirituality, or like, I just love that, the like mystery that the world is and the universe is, and like, I think I'm also interested in memory and time, and like capturing moments, and yeah, it's sort of just like always exploring why I'm here, or like what's important about this moment, and how it's interpreted, like through stories, or like through symbols, through, I don't know, texture. Yeah.
What do you think you've learned over the years that you've been exploring in this way?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, always learning. I think now a big theme for me is just like slowing down, and really thinking about like what presence is. And yeah, like I was saying, there is like this impulsiveness that I have, and like this project and like future planning kind of thing often. And I think within the last few months, it's sort of just like, again, just like letting things come to you, or like having something happen and reacting to it instead of like forcing it so much, has been like a theme.
I'm curious to hear more about like the mythology and symbols, and what are your thoughts about symbology, these ancient symbols and meanings?
I mean, I love them. Like, I love reading about them. I think, I don't know, recently I was reading about like creation myth and like Garden of Eden, and that idea of like knowledge, just like when you have knowledge you sort of lose innocence, and like when you start to think about duality of things, then that like opens a whole world of like female and male, or like good or bad, or like God versus person. Like those kind of like bigger ideas I think are explored through lots of cultures, and I just love everybody's different takes on it, even though they're like similar in a lot of ways. But I like that they get kind of like obscured with symbols, or if you like use like a bird as an idea for like a communication with the sky and with the earth, or like with heaven and a spirit world, something unseen, and how that can just like take your mind there and kind of like make it so abstract that I feel like it's like something that a lot of people, like everyone maybe has like kind of a sense of spirituality, maybe. At least I feel like I like know things without being able to necessarily like be able to always like articulate them so well. And sometimes when I'm reading these like super abstract stories, it kind of almost like gets right at like the feeling of the thing. And because it's so abstract, like your mind is already kind of like loosened to like understanding it more as a feeling almost. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that's like part of the reason that I'm drawn to it. And I love using those things in my own work too, because it's sort of like you can apply your own history or like your own ideas or meanings to things that you're seeing.
Yeah, that's something I feel like I've learned over time, is like a lot of the art is reflection of your own self.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I didn't really appreciate a lot of fine art when I was younger, other than just pure aesthetic, like, oh, that's a cool painting of whatever.
Yeah.
But now it's like you see it and you're like, wow, that triggers all these memories, and it's like a mirror to yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
So what was your journey into jewelry like?
I'd come to New York and I was just like working a lot, working in fashion in these like late nights, and I think I just kind of was like, had lost completely my creative practice. And also right out of RISD, I just had definitely like burnout, but also all of a sudden like the joy that I had of like making things, all of a sudden it like became a little bit more, not like commercialized, but sort of, because even like my day-to-day job was more like using design, but using it to make product and so quickly too. Anyway, all to say that like I was just feeling like kind of that creative part of myself that was just like joy of making to make had been eliminated, and I felt like kind of sad, and that like spark of like being excited, like I wasn't even sketching anymore or anything like that. Art had become like so distilled into like fitting a certain way or a method. You know, it's like you know the rules, so you kind of like follow the rules, versus like it's more fun to break rules, or if you don't even know that, you're kind of like teaching yourself how to do it. And jewelry was that for me. I was like, I've always wanted to do it. I wanted to do it in RISD, or at RISD, and I think I wasn't able to get into classes, or I was just like doing so many other things. I just like looked up a class and took this class and was like, this is amazing. This is so fun. It's like mini sculpture. I just again had that like rush of like, I have 1,000 ideas. I'm like so excited to do it. And it's small enough that I could do it at my desk. I could do it like in my apartment. The novelty and the fact that I like didn't know how to do anything, and it was just that like really reacting and exploring again, where was just like, it was fun.
What has it been like creating a brand?
It's been really fun. I love it. It's like cool to own the whole thing. I love making the pieces, but then, like I said, I have a lot of interest, so it's like, it kind of is able to combine photography, which I love, and creating a mood, and packaging. Like I've always had a little bit of a like graphic design love too, so I'm like, ooh, now I can do my own packaging and the wrapping paper and the card, and over COVID, I was like getting into coding. So I was like, cool, I can like do the website and like maybe try to like manipulate, you know, the sidebar or the icon. Yeah, so it's been, again, just like a way to learn new things and kind of deliver a bigger package to people, or like a whole feeling of when you get the ring, you also like get the whole vibe or like energy of what it is that Clark piece is. Yeah.
It seems like you've created, like you're saying, with the packaging, the aesthetic, the photography. What is that feeling for you when you kind of immerse yourself in it?
I guess there's sort of like a dreamy, magical energy that I'm trying to bring across, or like, again, like hinting at that space that's like, you feel it and you know it, but you can't quite put your hand on it. And yeah, I guess I want there to be like a kind of feeling of magic to it. And I always kind of describe it as like kind of medievally, it's sort of like blobby, ambiguous, like mythological, primordial vibes. Like I think already has that kind of like magic and not surrealism, but like that kind of quality to it. But then I also want it to be kind of like modern and flirty and pretty. I think that's important, that like always duality of like the soft and the hard, the like pretty and feminine, but also kind of like punky, punchy. Not everything is so pretty. There's always like kind of a darkness too. So I want that also in my brand.
Yeah, when I see it, it kind of reminds me of like an artifact.
Yeah.
Something that you don't really know what it is, but it's like been like dug out of the ground.
Yeah,
you know,
I love
and
that. Yeah.
like an organic thing.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of creative obstacles have you had over the years?
I think I beat myself up a little bit sometimes because I'm like, I want to be making something, or like I feel so good when I'm making something that when it's not coming naturally, or that's not happening, that's kind of sometimes a hard hurdle. But as I'm getting older, I'm also learning that sometimes it's good to just like rest and have these periods where things are kind of coming to you and you're reading and soaking in things and like letting the ideas, I always say like marinate, but you're just like kind of gathering. It's like a gathering period, and then like more creation period. I had read also in, maybe it was Joseph Campbell, but someone describing it as like a spiral, or maybe it was actually like an astrology thing, where certain signs are like a spiral where they'll go into themselves and then kind of like come out of themselves, where they'll like be really happy and then they'll kind of like get kind of sad. And I related to that, where I'm like, there are those periods where I'm feeling good, I'm creating, and then it's kind of like a going into myself and I'm just a little bit more private and like, yeah, like inside, whatever, marinating, and then I'll kind of like come back out. So
does having the perspective help, having that thing to think about, like, oh, it's just another cycle, you know?
Yeah, that definitely helps. Something I'm only learning into my 30s now. It's like it happens over and over, and this too shall pass. Like you won't feel this way forever. And I don't know. I think in the past, sometimes when I was like really deep in those feelings, or like deep in the like, oh, I'm not being creative, or like the idea isn't coming, or just everything's going wrong. Just being like really affected by that, but trying to just be a little bit more zen as of late.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme I've noticed talking to people.
Yeah.
Is that there's cycles to
Totally.
Creativity and just to human activity in general.
Yeah.
And that once you can recognize that, it can help you a lot to have the perspective.
Yeah. Now I'm almost like grateful for it, or I'm trying to like rethink or recontextualize, or like rethink of it as a way of being like, well, this is like a great time to now like read a bunch, or like go see some shows, or just talk to people and not have that pressure of like needing to make anything.
I feel like one of the questions I keep coming back to is like, is it possible to have a monetized creative outlet that actually is satisfying?
I don't know. And it's something I've really been like so in my head and my heart about, like, do I really want to have the jewelry thing like become even too big, where it's outside of just like, right now it's been really the realm of just like selling to friends and the occasional person that I don't know, but for the most part it's been really everyone that I've known. So it's like there's like a connection to every person that I've given something to. Yeah, that I wonder when it starts to become, I have to get this much out, or like I'm depending on it more. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder about that too, because I've seen this reaction as well, where it's like a fear of success, or like a fear of things changing into something different, and it won't be the same.
Yeah.
Do you ever, I mean, how do you have a way of thinking through that, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I feel protective of it kind of after the RISD thing, where I'm like, my joy of drawing sort of got changed. Like, I wouldn't say taken away or anything like that, but it just changed into something else. I guess it's like I love jewelry for what it's brought to my life, and like a way that I've been able to express myself, and I would just want to make sure that there's some kind of way that I can do that, and you know, maybe it'll just become a new thing. But when there's like a pressure to make something, I wonder if it's like the same inspired feeling too. But more and more I'm kind of having faith that at least I'm like seeing other brands where it's like they're not necessarily sticking to any kind of calendar, and it does seem a lot more like people are supporting smaller artists, and I think you can have control over the way, or at least I'm trying to build it out in a way that I'm always happy to be standing behind it and having it just like grow to the amount that I want it to. I think also it's like at any point you can just change. Like at any point it can be like, actually I don't want to grow this anymore. Actually I'm going to walk away from this. So.
Do you find that you get any amount of creative satisfaction from your work, doing design?
Yeah, I think just like a different mindset for me, where I can look at it and I'm just not as emotional about it. It's just sort of like, I know what makes a good print, and I know what is like a pretty color combo. Yeah, there's something satisfying about just like having something that you can just like do and then it's done, and you didn't care like 100% about it. And that's kind of freeing too, where it's just like, okay. And then I like working in the industry too, because it's not all just me. It's like then I hand it off to someone else, and it's like more of a team that creates the image, and finally, like, I work in fashion, women's wear, so it's like finally put something down the runway, and there's so many hands that have been on it at that point, and the vision is just like so much better than anything like I could have just done solely by myself. So yeah, it's like a different cap, and I enjoy that, and I like that it's just my job, and I can like put it down and not think about it anymore. Whereas my jewelry thing is like constantly, I'm like, ooh, like could be cool to do this or like that. It's never putting it down.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder where the line is. Like, can you be 100% satisfied at all times, or will there always be some amount of trade-off?
For me, I haven't found the 100% satisfied yet, and I was actually talking to my friend about that the other day. It was like, it's putting a lot of pressure on my job being the thing that was bringing me so much joy, instead of just being the thing that like allows me to have the means to do all the other things that bring me so much joy. And I think sometimes it just comes down to like, my job actually takes so much time in my day, and it does take a lot of my thought, even if it is like easy and structured and I can do it, but I'm still like, wow, that was still, 6 or 8 hours of my mental space. So shouldn't it be bringing joy? I don't know. So I kind of go back and forth with that, but I think once you release the pressure for it to be like, this is giving the meaning to my life, then all the other things that are so sweet all around you can also just provide that. And the release of that pressure would probably be good for me to stop trying to make everything be 100% enjoyable or satisfying, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult because there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
And I would guess that even people that you would think who are leading the best, like most free creative life,
Yeah.
there's probably things that they have to do every day that they don't enjoy.
Absolutely. I mean, all of life is probably nothing is 100% enjoyable all the time. But, and this is that thing where it's like, if you switch it up, is it even better, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I went from a full-time job to then like freelancing, and it is a better fit for me, and I do enjoy it more, but there's still lots of things that I'm like, oh, like, well, could be better if I did this. It's like maybe I'm always chasing the could be better.
Do you have any advice for someone who's grappling with these same things coming up? Maybe they just graduated RISD.
Oh my God. Especially out of RISD, you have this mindset where you're like, what am I doing? Like, am I doing enough? How do I like make it? You know, and New York is that too. It's like this hustle bustle. Definitely when I was in my early 20s, there was just like such a push and a hustle and like a constant like moving, that I don't think I like really slowed down to just like appreciate all these smaller wins that you're getting. It's like you're finally independent, you're living in the city, which is crazy, your friends are here, like there's so many things to be excited about. And I think at any age there's like things that are accomplishments or things that you're working towards that you're getting. My mentor, when I first got out of RISD, she had her own knitwear brand, and I was interning for her, and I was just like, wow, she's like amazing, and she's got this whole thing, and she put on this like amazing fashion show, and there was dance. Like she just was someone that I've always looked up to, still really look up to. And we got dinner the other day, and she was like, just make sure you're not like running through all these like accomplishments, that you actually like slow down and you pause and are witness to your life kind of happening. And yeah, it just made me kind of think too, where I'm like, if I'm always future planning or like kind of on to the next thing, I just want to make sure that myself and anyone coming up from RISD or whatever is also just like slowing down and being like, whoa, this is also really cool what's happening right now, because it happens so fast. It goes by really quick.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like just being able to survive doing anything
Yeah.
that you remotely enjoy is already a great win.
Yeah, for sure. You don't realize when you're in it, but it's also like part of the fun is actually being in it, and the like kind of feeling like everything is falling apart, or like you can't like grasp it all. Like I feel like some of the best things I've done have been in that time period, or like some of the best memories that I have been in times when I didn't feel like I had it all and I was really struggling or whatever. It's just like, yeah, every part of it is good for some reason, and sometimes you just have to like review it to be like, whoa, a lot has happened, or like this was that like 20/20 hindsight too, where it's like that was so difficult, but that really helped like define this next part of my life that I still think about now when I'm doing something later, even though I was like hating doing that thing at the time, has like now become such like a cornerstone. So yeah, I think you never really know till you get further out from the thing that was hard before.
What are you excited about coming up in your life?
My God, so much. I mean, I feel like just recently, I just feel like a different kind of like confidence and like comfortableness with myself that has been like really freeing, where it's nice to just feel like secure and comfortable and happy with me, and then like allowing other things to come in to see how they're like compliments or not, and kind of seeing like my friends and other people around me also being in that moment in their life is making me excited. Yeah, just for like the next chapter. And I'm at this point where I don't really know, like I feel like a lot of this conversation has been me saying like I'm such a future planner, which I haven't. I've had these like kind of concrete goals of like things, markers that I wanted to hit, and definitely with COVID, definitely in the last like 2 years or so, just like slowing down and being like, be present, like whatever. So now it's like I don't really know, like I sort of have goals of like, I want to spend more time with people that I love, I want to read more, like just sort of loose goals, but nothing like super concrete. And so there's kind of this like unknown that's kind of exciting to me. And yeah, and just being around people that I love and are growing with me is satisfying for right now.